The Idaho Legislature is back in session 2 months before the 2022 legislative session begins. This session comes months after the House recessed and the Senate adjourned sine die back in May, marking the longest session in state history. Now it's even longer. And the topic dominating the agenda is vaccine mandates. Lawmakers are gathering mainly to consider legislation regarding President Joe Biden's COVID-19 requirements, but some Republican lawmakers want Idaho to ban businesses from requiring vaccines. Good evening. Thanks for tuning in to our special edition of Idaho News 6. I'm Don Nelson. We have live team coverage tonight from the State House and analysis from Dr. JACLYN KETTLER from Boise State. But first up, our AZALLION is live with details on the legislation being discussed that could outlaw vaccine mandates.
Yeah, these are the bills the legislature is considering right now. 32 from the House, or 29 from the House, 7 from the Senate, all related to vaccine and mask mandates. The House is just now coming back into session as of 5 p.m. after sending all 29 of the bills to committee to be discussed. Here's a look at what's in some of these bills. 8 bills were sent to the House Business Committee to be discussed while the House was recessed. One of these is House Bill 410, which prohibits employers from requiring vaccines.
If we start trumping individual rights at any level in this country, we're going down the wrong path.
Discussion on this bill and public testimony largely centered around personal freedom.
It is not about a vaccine any longer. This is about power and control.
Other bills discussed would prohibit employers from requiring vaccines for new or existing employees, prohibit requiring proof of vaccine, would require employers to accept vaccine exemptions, and prevent employers from using vaccine records. You can find more information about the bills on our website, idahonews6.com, and we'll continue to keep you updated as the session continues. Live at the State House, Anna Azallion, Idaho News 6.
The House officially gavelled back into session shortly after 9 o'clock this morning, the first day back after a 6-month recess. The first order of business was to take up the committee report from the House Ethics Committee on Whitebird Representative Priscilla Giddings, who faced an ethics hearing back in August after sharing a news article revealing the identity of an alleged rape victim. Our NICOLE CAMARDA joins us live from the State House with details on this debate that took up a large portion of the legislature's first day back in session, but ended with a vote to censure the representative.
After 2 hours of debate, the House did vote 49-14 to censure Representative Priscilla Giddings. And the tension was high on the House floor and in the House chambers. Some lawmakers standing up in support of Priscilla Giddings and voting no on the recommendation, others giving it the green light.
Lieutenant Colonel Priscilla Giddings. Priscilla's a local gal. She was born and raised in...
Objection! Mr. Speaker, this isn't in the report.
The first 2 hours back in session full of tension between lawmakers over the Ethics Committee report for Representative Priscilla Giddings, with a full gallery watching.
That's where the line is.
Okay, I'll stick to the character reference.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Your point.
Mr. Speaker, I wonder about the appropriateness of Mr. Speaker controlling the debate when he is the political opponent of the respondent in this matter.
The gentleman's point is well taken. That's just going to be the fact of your life going forward.
Some lawmakers stood up during the debate defending Giddings. Representative Ron Nate stated he believes the House Ethics Committee process is broken.
That once an ethics complaint makes it to the public hearing, the House Ethics Committee lawyers up, hires lawyers who act as nothing more than prosecuting attorneys during the ethics hearing. And that's what we saw.
Others, ultimately 49 representatives, voting in favor of censuring Giddings.
And I support the responsibility of this House to do difficult things so that we might maintain the kind of decorum and behavior that is becoming to the House of Representatives of the Idaho Legislature.
Near the end of the debate, Giddings herself made some remarks. She says this decision doesn't hurt her.
It hurts the 45,000 people in my district that I will, not represent. This doesn't hurt me. This actually frees up my schedule, and I've got a lot going on.
Throughout her remarks, Giddings defended sharing the article that did have the name of the alleged victim, and she said that she wouldn't have done anything differently. Live inside the State House, Nicole Camarda, Idaho News 6.
All right, thanks for Nicole. Now to talk all about this and analyze what went on in this amazing day in the legislature, Dr. JACLYN KETTLER, Associate Professor of Political Science at Boise State. Jackie, this was a crazy day in the legislature, really contentious, and people really going at it from the same party.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some of these debates and divisions within the Republican Party already emerging and being highlighted just in one day's activities.
Well, what does it say about the party right now that it's so divided over something like this?
Well, I think, we've got some key ideological debates, but also debates about even what should be considered an ethics committee violation or, be considered to go up in front of the committee. I mean, there's all these different debates. And then we've also got quite a few pieces of legislation where we could also see some of these ideological debates emerge.
All right, we'll talk about that in just a moment, but I want to ask you just really how big of a deal is it, the censure of Representative Giddings?
Well, I mean, it's a formal statement of disapproval from the House. So in that, it is meaningful. Whether or not it has huge outcomes or huge consequences, I think can be debated. I mean, we could see Giddings supporters, even support her even more. Perhaps the really key element is the removal of her from the Commerce and Human Resources Committee, which will have some effects on what she can do in office.
All right, let's go on to the possible legislation that could come out of this. 36 different bills out there possibly dealing with anti-vaccine mandates. What's the likelihood that any of these goes through?
Well, there's definitely seems to be some momentum and support among Republicans for passing something to address these vaccine mandates, though it's still a little unclear on which of the possible options may emerge. And that resulted in some confusion and uncertainty today in some of the hearings.
Yeah, there's definitely some legal issues that'll have to be worked out on this, whether or not it was constitutional to go back into session. But disregarding that, let's just say, what does the governor have to consider before he possibly signs anything that could go through?
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, a really kind of perhaps a tricky situation in some ways for him, trying to navigate what the primary constituency might want next year in those primary elections, while also what the business community is really pushing for in the state of Idaho, as well as other voters. So I think it will be kind of interesting to watch how he navigates this.
All right, we will keep track of it, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thanks, Dr. Kettler.